Because as guys get older, you know what they think about? Their kids. What is the lady? Because women raise the kids more than men. And they're looking for somebody that's going to hold a standard to raise their kids, because the moms have more influence on the children than the men do. And it's just crazy. Every time my kid's like scraping in, I'm like, come here, baby. What is this? And it's always I go to Autumn, and when they get a good grade, they're like, I made 100. I'm like, come, let me see your pay. And you're just like, oh, what is the deal? And so I spoil them, and I bribe them, and I buy them lots of stuff and candy and all of this stuff. And it's like, whenever we're at home with the kids and my wife's doing something shopping like she likes to do a lot, and I'm at the kids and I'm playing, and Mama walks in the house, Daddy doesn't exist. You know, I'm just not there. And then when Daddy walks in the house and Mama's been on my, hey girls, nothing. So guys, I'm telling you, and ladies, men, good godly men that are set apart for the things of the Lord, they're waiting on you out there. They're looking for you. And ladies, grab a hold of this. Dress like you're worth something. You know, there's a lot, when you're younger, a lot of girls, I think it's sad by the way that they dress. And when they dress, you know what they're saying? I'm going to show you a lot of what I got because I don't have a spiritual walk. I've seen so many girls that the way that they dress, some guys that maybe in the world might want to date them, but they would never want to marry them. And, you know, you need to show you need to be like, you need to set a high standard for yourself in your mind. And that's the problem. A lot of girls, you don't have a good self-image of yourself. And I'm telling you this, God loves you, and He has a plan for your life. And I don't care what has ever happened to you, God is going to erase that out of your mind. And you know, my wife says this all the time. She says, young girls walk around and the whole world knows who you are, but you don't even know for yourself. And it breaks my heart. And I'm going to be real with you on this, okay? I do a lot of marriage counseling. A lot of marriage counseling, pre and post. I like pre better than post. And I was doing marriage counseling probably about 2 years ago, and I just said, stop. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to marry y'all where you're at right now. And they're like, okay, you got two choices, preacher. You can marry us, or I'll go to the justice of the peace, but we prefer you to do it. And I said, let me ask you a question, sir. You just said that you're not going to give up, and I named 3 things for your wife. He goes, yeah, if she don't like it, we ain't got to get married. I'm not going to give those up. And they were small, minute things. And I told her, I said, those 3 things he's going to get, they're going to escalate, and they're going to be 4 or 5. She's like, oh, once we get married, he's going to start coming back to church regular. I said, girl, you'll be in the club. You be with him. He's not coming in. You're going out. She's like, it'll never happen. They're gone. You know why? She had a moment where she had to decide, am I going to put up with this or am I not? And here's the sad thing. I probably had 10 dudes come up to me and say, how in the world does that girl marry that guy? She is a woman of God, chasing after the things of the Lord. He's not even serving God. And when I talked to her, you know what? She had no affirmation from her father. She never had anybody telling you when you're growing up, you're beautiful, you're lovely, you can do good for yourself. And it's so sad. I see it all the time. I did pre-marriage counseling for a couple this week, and their biggest problem was about this big. I mean, it was so small. And when you talk about them, you know what they kept saying? We're going to prefer the other one over ourselves. That's one key to a good, successful marriage. You prefer the other one over yourself. And they're always giving. They're always serving the Lord. And they have declared, we're going to serve God with all of our heart. And man, doing their marriage counseling, it was like a breath of fresh air. In fact, I ended it 2 sessions early. I said, we're done. Y'all got this thing licked. This thing is going to be so easy. Because they're just serving God with all of their hearts. And ladies, when you start going out with guys, or you think he may be the one, if he's not willing to change before you get married, you're going to have a soul tie, and you're going to have some issues and some problems that could really grow. You know, and it's so sad. You know, I've seen guys who won't even do marriage counseling. There's reasons. And I've seen a lot of people just been hurt from marriages. And this is serious, because if you get married when you're 23, 24, 25, and you live to your 80, you got 50, 60 years with this guy. You need to make sure he is the one, and you need to set yourself apart. And you know, the thing is, a lot of girls, when they hit about 18, 19, they start thinking about getting married, because when little boys are playing firemen and pro sports athletes and all this, little girls, they're thinking about getting married. They're thinking about being princesses and believe me, I think I get married 8 times a week at our house, you know. And I told my little girls, I'm the only guy you can marry till you're 25. So we get in there, and you know, I'm the preacher and the groom. I go back and forth and stuff. And it's good. But I'm telling you, let me tell this story real quick. Judah walked into the house the other day, and she walked out of the room and came there and said, Dad, that's looking at me. She said, do you think I'm pretty? And I said, oh, Judah, baby, you look gorgeous. She goes, how gorgeous? And I said, you're the most gorgeous little 4-year-old I've ever seen. She goes, well, if you weren't married to Mom, would you marry me? Am I that gorgeous? And I said, yes, you're that gorgeous. And she said, this is funny. She said, do you think I'm as beautiful as Mom when you got married to her? And I said, yes. She said, good, because Mama's hot. And I said, yeah, and this was great. And then what she said, Daddy, take my picture and send it to Aunt Susie because I want her to see how pretty I look. And I just thought, you know, that is so great, you know, that my little girl does this. And daily, when my little girls get ready and my wife fixes their hair in their bows, they say, you think Dad will notice me? And I'll be in the kitchen, and like one day, my oldest child ran past and went in her room, and she started crying. I said, Autumn, what's wrong? She said, well, did you tell her how pretty she was? And I said, I was making breakfast, and I just heard little feet. We have hardwood floors run through. She said, well, you always got to tell them how pretty they are. And my little girls will come there every day, and if I'm walking out of a door, they'll stop me and say, am I pretty? They know they're beautiful. I tell them constantly, but there's something inside of young girls. They need to be told they're beautiful. I got a young girl I'm married to. She's 33 years old, and I tell her constantly, did you know it takes 16 positive words to wipe out one negative word? And in the world that we live in, there's so many negative words spoken over people, especially women, that I'm always speaking life. You know, how did God form this world? He spoke it into existence. I'm speaking love into my little girls like you've never seen before in your life. I tell them all the time. I'm constantly kissing them. In fact, we recorded a T-ball game the other day. You know, T-ball. It's kind of like, yes, a manly sport. My girls are dominating the boys. It's funny. But we're sitting there, and Autumn said, I want you to watch this video. You're constantly kissing our kids. We're in T-ball, Joe. And I'm a first base coach. So the girls run down the first base line, and they run past first. I'm behind first. I'm like, you just run to me. And they run, and I pick them up, and I kiss them, and then I put them down. And every time they cross home plate, I run there, I pick them up, and I kiss them. When the game's over, I'm carrying them out, and I'm kissing them. And Autumn says, Joe, you're the only dad in the league that picks up their kids constantly and kisses them. And I said, well, you know what? That's okay, because when my little girls are 20 years old, and they're here with their friends, and they're watching this video one day, and one of those little girls will say, how come your dad always kissed you when you were little? And then they might just start witnessing to them. And because it was caught on tape, because I love my kids, and I promise you, when some smooth-talking devil comes along that's 20 years old, and they tell my little girls, hey, girl, you good looking. I like you. Yeah, you're pretty. And I know. My dad tells me that all the time. And they're just going to keep walking because it's not going to bother them because they have that drilled in their head that they're beautiful. Some young girls, they don't have it. And this is so sad. At my first church I worked at, I was talking to our pastor, and he was counseling a lady. And this lady said that I have sexual intercourse with a lot of men. And he said, why do you do that? And she says, because for a brief moment in my life, I know it's going to scar me and it's going to hurt me. I feel important to a man. And right then he said, well, has anybody ever told you that you were beautiful and they loved you? And she goes, no. And she would give herself away just to fill a wound that was in her heart. And you know, if you girls, the scripture I read earlier, that if you don't have a father like that, God the Father can speak life into you. And you know, he just wants you to say, he says, here I am, I'm the ultimate father. And there's a lot of you that may have had a good father in your life, but when guys start telling you how much they love you and like you and all this, if a guy is pressuring you in to have sex and to do sexual things and you're not married, that's called lust, not love. They're the exact opposite. If a man loves you and he wants a future with you and he wants to marry you and put a ring on your finger, then there's not even a question. If you say no, it's over. On our wedding night in 2.5 years, yes, we'll do that. But until then, A-frame, baby. That's how we do it. You know, and this is for the guys. This is one thing I'm going to speak to the guys. It's easy to win a princess, but to keep a woman feeling like she's a princess is a hard job. But it's the most rewarding thing that you can ever do. You know, I'll do whatever it takes to make my wife smile. Next week, been married 11 years. Every day when I wake up, one of the first things I do is say, how can I make my wife smile today? What can I do? Because I remember that my dad used to do special things to my mom just to make her smile. And it can be something little. It can be something sweet. It can be something out of the ordinary. But you know, that's what you're looking for. And ladies, you need to find a guy like that. You know, it says this in Colossians 3:19. It says, husband, love your wife and do not be harsh with them. You know, ladies, when you find the right man, you should be the center of his universe. God is number one. And if you find a guy that God is not number one in his life, you need to find a different guy. He should be everything to you, just the best. And I just know that God really puts people together. And this is said, I said this, but I'm going to repeat this. You know, a lot of times, young ladies, if you're hurting, don't give yourself away physically, emotionally, sexually, in any way to a guy just to fill an emotional need, because there's a spiritual need that will be crushed inside of you. You need to seek counsel. Our church at Church on the Rock has so many amazing women. We have amazing leaders here at the Connection that you need to talk to. And I'm just telling you, I'm speaking to you tonight like a spiritual father. Like, this is a message that I want my kids to hear. You know, a lot of people get lost between once upon a time and happily ever after. And this is so real to me because I've seen so many young girls who are 22, 23, broken, ready to give up on life because where they're at in their marriage or where they're at for things that's happened to them. And I've said, you're just a young person. You haven't even, your life's just now started. And if you set the standard tonight, you won't have to worry about that.